I use a multitude of sources, even on the left side and the right side. This time I'm going to use Steven Crowder. He always does research on his topics, and I respect that. People on the left, however, don't really do that. So that's neither here nor there. My hypothesis is that all these protests and these pride marches are a direct result of the COVID-19 spike in cases that we have now. So if you look at this article back in June 10th, it says lots of sarcasm and various forms of gallows humor have been used over the past week about how apparently you can't catch COVID-19 from social justice. Or you can, but it's totally worth it. Well, according to Deborah Birx, doctor, who unlike you and me and Donald Trump is an actual scientist, we may not be laughing much longer, or some of us may still be laughing, but for different reasons. Dr. Deborah Birx, Trump's coronavirus response coordinator, relayed fears that the yelling by protesters could potentially negate the health benefits of wearing a mask, and that the destruction of testing sites at those protests would set back efforts to contain the virus. Birx said that 70 such sites have been destroyed during presumably the mostly peaceful riots and looting. You know, how the media made a big deal because the president didn't wear a mask and caused a day's worth of work to be wasted? This is that times counts on fingers 70. 70 times. However many days the sites are down because they were destroyed by rioting and looting. Just want to make sure we feel each other over here. All right, there's that. So if you go to Gavin Newsom, another article by Brodigan says Gavin Newsom demands you may not see family on July 4th, but this photo leaves questions. This is like July 1st or 2nd. Yeah, not everyone is wearing a mask. The majority are, but that doesn't really help. This guy isn't. She's not. Or he, whatever. But yeah, see, Gavin Newsom is a complete leftist Marxist douchebag. He tells you that you can't go out and get a haircut. You can't go out and walk your dog at the park. You can't take a stroll on the beach because the corona. Can't do that. However, it's more important to protest for social justice and change because the virus won't kill you or won't infect you because you're out there for a good cause. But if you're out there for some sort of self-serving action, like walking your dog, it'll kill you. You need to wear a mask. If you don't wear a mask, we'll punish you. But we're not going to, go over to these people and punish them because that would look bad. Visually, of course. California has been hit with a new wave of coronavirus, especially over the past 2 weeks. It's almost as if there was a series of huge events where people were not social distancing. They weren't. This is not social distancing. We've been all over the last, couple months, we've been pounded in our head by government officials and scientists. Social distance. First it was don't wear a mask, now it says wear a mask. Got it. Is that social distancing? How good are those masks? Are they, medical grade, hospital grade? Absolutely not. There's no, ombudsman. There's no quality control for these masks. Who knows where they come from? Who knows who makes them? By the way, viruses are really small. So this is from Christina Pascucci. LAPD just posted this photo of people protesting tonight. People are messaging me asking how this is allowed with no social distancing when hours ago Governor Gavin Newsom said we shouldn't even see our family on July 4th gathering this weekend unless we live with them. That's okay, but having a barbecue is not. We just have a barbecue and call it a protest. How about that? Exactly. I mean, it's really simple. Our elected officials, especially the Democrat ones, most in the media think we're idiots. I'm not sure what else to say or how to say it. We all sat here watching the news for the past few weeks when peaceful non-social distancing broke out across the country. Suddenly, COVID wasn't a concern. Now that the riots have died down and CNN put their Rona tracker back on the screen, we're supposed to pretend the past few weeks haven't happened. Exactly. So we're supposed to ignore the whole government media institution ignored the COVID-19 cases all during the protest. Now that they sort of died down, we're back to the protest and blaming Donald Trump. For what? Donald Trump can't stop this. This is, dare I say, First Amendment activity. Yeah, kind of dumb to do it during a pandemic. I get it. However, when you got government officials telling you, go out and protest, it's the right thing to do. Don't worry about the virus. Oh yeah, try to social distance to wear a mask. Is this social distancing? Absolutely not. We go to the chart here from his article yesterday. This chart shows when the second COVID outbreak started. Spoiler, it's because of the protests and riots. Absolutely. See, America's in this second wave of the Rona. The left would have you believe that it's because too many of you are going out to the same bar or worshiping at the same church and not the weeks of super spreader events. Exactly. Going to a bar isn't going to affect thousands upon thousands of people. You know what's going to affect thousands upon thousands of people? Stuff like this right here. When you're not social distancing, yeah, I'm wearing a mask. So what? If you're not wearing gloves and a face shield and a gown to protect you, as most hospital workers do when they're protecting themselves from the virus, if you're not doing that, you're doing 1/4 of all of it. What is that going to do? It's not going to do. If you're doing 25% of protection, then the last. So basically you're saying that I'll just accept the 25% chance of me not getting it, but there's a 75% chance that you're going to get it. Funny thing though, New York Times, when it's not cyberbullying Barry Weiss, and that's a good story, runs a graphic charting the course of the Rona over the past few months. See what happens when you point out a few dates like Eric Erickson does. So we can go over this real quick. This is back like beginning of April. Small business owners protest to reopen. And you see a couple spikes. These are just cases, these are not deaths. The deaths, that's a different story. And then states start to reopen and we're beginning right at the end of April. And it started to trend down. Yeah, you got some waves. You're going to see some waves. But for the most part, it started to go down all the way to Memorial Day. Even Memorial Day, even after Memorial Day. Now you could correlate this Memorial Day when people went out to the beach and all that stuff to this spike over here. But it went down. However, George Floyd happened right around end of May. And that's when the protests started to begin around June 2nd, June 1st. You see that one spike that could be possibly Memorial Day. Kind of hard to correlate that because it kind of went down after that. However, the protests started to go up. And then about a week and a half to 2 weeks later, the cases started to skyrocket. The hockey stick, if you will. Started to go up, 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 up. There was a dip, but the pride marches happened and then BAM! All the way up. Just because it doesn't mean causation isn't really the reason this is happening. It could be completely different. However, this chart here definitely shows that the riots and protests were a direct result in the increase in the COVID-19 cases. It's kind of hard not to look at this and say, yeah, that's what happened. But again, the government will tell you, especially blue states and blue cities, oh, it had nothing to do with it. You're fine. You're not fine. All this protesting and burning and rioting and killing, firebombing police, doesn't help the case for trying to stop all this bullcrap from happening. And like I've said before, this whole COVID-19 thing, it isn't going away. We're going to have this for the rest of our life. Once they get a vaccine, if they get a vaccine, essentially you're going to get vaccinated for it every single year. Just like the flu. The flu virus, by the way, the influenza, is the same sort of deal. Is that you're going to get a flu virus, or you're going to get inoculated for it, you're going to get the vaccine for it every single year along with the COVID-19. A lot of people think that, oh, just flatten the curve, we'll be fine. You know what flatten the curve was? It's making sure the healthcare facilities weren't inundated with a bunch of people. And they're not. Now you get a lot of people out there, a lot of journalists saying, yeah, we're in a really bad shape. Well, we're in really bad shape because of all the goddamn protesting. And the marches and the pride marches. You don't think they could have people just said, you know what? Hey, why don't we just back off and just for the pride marches. Hey, everyone knows it. Why don't we just back off and do it next year? Nope, got to do it. And that's where we're at right now. And when the protests began, and they're still going on in Portland, for the most part, and other blue cities, imagine that. So I'll continue on with the story here. because I failed the test, see Eric Erickson's IG story, then so be it. Let's just look at the data. States started reopening and the cases went down a tad. Memorial Day happened and it still trended downward. Leftists started peacefully rioting and protesting in the streets, and the cases shot up like a 13-year-old who just discovered his father's secret collection of nudie mags. The outbreak we are in is 100% because of the left. It's because of progressives. It's because of the same sanctimonious douchebags who attack regular Americans for being anti-science anytime we question how what we were being told about how to combat the Rona didn't always make the most sense, especially since those same sanctimonious douchebags kept contradicting themselves. And I couldn't have said it better myself. This doesn't change the mess we're in now because of them. People should wear a mask and social distance. And I'll let voters decide what to do when their politicians say they need to shut down again. But let's cut the gaslighting of those who did what we were supposed to do by the ass clowns who didn't, and by the other ass clowns in the media entertainment complex who came out in support of the first group of ass clowns. Exactly. So we're in this mess because of blue state governments and the blue state media. The thing is that if you look at this picture right here, are they social distancing? They got masks. But again, that's 25% of the equation. So are you washing your hands? Are you constantly washing your hands? No, they're not. Do you see any hand washing stations? No. Is there hand sanitizer? Possibly. But that is not a one-stop shop to get rid of any sort of viral pathogen on your hands. How do you know you didn't touch your face before you washed your hands or sanitized them? See how much alcohol content was in that hand sanitizer. It's got to be at least 70%. 40% is going to cut it. Just because you pour some, Captain Morgan on your hand and wipe down doesn't mean it kills anything. But I've gone too far here. But let's just say that these douchebags on the left, in the media, and these idiot protesters out there they're all at fault. All at fault.